Bashing Jehovah's Witnesses in the Watchtower literature is typical for those who don't have an open mind and ignore facts when it's presented to them. I had a discussion with Bill from MCO for help regarding certain quotes that the Trinity brochure supposedly misquoted or didn't quote accurately. But when I presented the name of the books, the chapters, paragraphs, and page numbers, I practically had to hold his hand to show him where the materials can be found. And after much evidence that was presented to him, he was still in denial and went to the extent of continuing making new videos regarding these supposedly mistakes. In this video, I'm going to mainly focus on Clement of Alexandria and Tertullian, because the rest of his theocratic warfare Trinity booklet video, I have no idea what he was talking about, respectfully. Although his presentation was inaccurate, he still had two of his friends, Shazulu and 21 Crosscheck 21, cheering him on instead of correcting his mistakes. Bill quotes, "Should you believe in the Trinity brochure" on page 7 regarding Clement of Alexandria, and it states, quote, "Clement of Alexandria, who died about 215 CE, called Jesus in his prehuman existence a creature, but called God the uncreated, unperishable, and only true God. He said that the Son is next to the only omnipotent Father, but not equal to him." End quote. Bill claims Clement never called Jesus a creature. By researching this subject, I came across hundreds of resources that made the same charge. No wonder why Bill came to this conclusion, because he is just copying what other people are saying. But what saddens me is Bill has us believe that he has the actual resource with him, because the information that he presented, I found the same material in the book that he has. Well, let's look at Clement's writing and see if he did call Jesus a creature. And it shows that he did in the writings, "Who is the rich man that shall be saved?" And it says, "And what peculiar things is it that the new creature, the Son of God, intimates and teaches? It is not the outward act which others have done, but something else indicated by it, greater, more godlike." And right next to the new creature, it has a footnote, and it says, "The application of the words he kanyeketesis to Christ has been much discussed. Segar has a long note on it, the purport of which he thus sums up: he kanyeketesis is a creature to whom nothing has ever existed on earth, equal or like man, but also God, through whom is true light and everlasting life." As we can see in the footnote, it mentions nothing about how Clement was supposedly misquoted. But the footnote further defines that Clement metkanyeketistes means new creation. Nothing shows Clement denied calling Jesus a creature, but went to the extent of calling him a new creation. So did Clement of Alexandria call Jesus a creature? According to his writings, he did. What I also found interesting about Clement is he doesn't limit the term God to the Father and the Son, but extends it to believers also. Where can we find this in his writings? Exhortations to the Heathen on page 174. And it reads, "And now the Word himself clearly speaks to this, shaming thy unbelief, ye, I say, the Word of God became man, that thou mayest learn from man how man may become God." I'm not agreeing or promoting any such teachings, but explaining if Clement extends how man may become God to its believers, then what type of God was Jesus? The quote that Bill gave us clearly shows that Clement did write Jesus had an unbeginning eternity. But what did he mean about that, since we just established that he did call Jesus a creature? I found an interesting book by J.N.D. Kelly entitled Early Christian Doctrines. And on page 127 it says, quote, His generation from the Father is without beginning. The Father is not without his Son, for along with being Father, he is Father of the Son. And he is essentially one with him, since the Father is in him and he in the Father. End quote. And if you go back to Bill's video, you'll notice through context, Clement is referring to Jesus' generation is without beginning. Not that Jesus himself is not without beginning, but his generation without beginning. And scholars recognize that it's the Father that Clement is referring to as eternal and uncreated, not Jesus. We all have a generation that has a beginning, but Jesus doesn't, because he is first created from God, as Clement believed. Bill states that the Watchtower wants you to think the early church fathers knew nothing about the Trinity. That's not true. What the Watchtower does say is that the Trinity doctrine isn't and wasn't the same teaching as we have today. 3 persons in one Godhead, co-equal and uncreated. That's what the Trinity Brochure and other publications bring out. The church fathers had different ideas and defined the Trinity in different ways.